Hello friends, I am Dr. Deepak Garg. I am an orthopedic surgeon and today we will discuss templating in total hip replacement. So this is a part of pre-operative planning in total hip replacement surgery. So main goal of templating is not to detect the size of the implant, but the main goal is to detect the position and depth of the implant, both the femoral component and the acetabular component. So we want to know the position of the implant and the depth of the implant before we go for the surgery. And also we want to know the exact location of the neck cut that we need to take during the surgery. And we want to anticipate any potential difficulties that we may have during the surgery, and we want to reproduce the biomechanics of the hip. That will include, we want to get the same center of hip, we want to have the same leg length, and we want to maintain the same femoral offset. So let's understand how to achieve all these goals pre-operatively. So let's start with identify the landmarks first. So we take a proper x-ray. So how to take a proper x-ray we will discuss end of the this video. So identify the surgical landmarks first. So femoral side and acetabular side. So for the femoral side, identify the medullary canal, identify the lesser trochanter, identify the greater trochanter, and then identify the saddle point. The saddle point is a distal part of the junction between the superior aspect of the femoral neck and the greater trochanter. So once these are the component on the femoral side, then we identify the same surgical landmarks on the anatomical landmarks on the acetabular side. So we will mark the ilioischial line, and this line is also called as Kohler's line, and this is actually the medial wall of the acetabulum. Now we identify the teardrop, and then this is the inferior border of the component, and then we identify the superolateral corner or the roof of the acetabulum. So we identify and mark these points in our template. So once we do that, then we define the mechanical references. So first thing that we need to define is a hip center of rotation. So we mark a circle over the center of the femoral head and then over the acetabulum, taking medial wall as an arc. So usually in a normal case scenario, it will overlap and there will be a single center of rotation. But in cases of complex hip or dysplastic hip or dislocated hip or subluxated hip, we may have two center of rotation, one for the femur, one for the acetabulum. So for the femur, we will calculate the center of rotation considering the circle of the femoral head, and for the acetabulum, taking the medial wall as a arc, we will draw a full circle and then we will get the center of rotation of the acetabulum. So by this method, we will get the center of rotation. Then we will calculate the femoral offset. So what is femoral offset? So first we draw a intramedullary line from the center of the femoral canal, and when we draw this line, then we take a perpendicular distance from this line to the center of rotation of hip. So this distance, this shortest distance between the center of rotation of hip and the perpendicular through the medullary canal, this is a femoral offset. So this femoral offset is necessary to maintain. So we should know this femoral offset. The normal value of the femoral offset in maximum cases is 41 to 44 mm. And why this is important? This will control the tension and movement arm of the abductors, and this will help tensioning the soft tissues, and this will be responsible for the wear of the acetabular component. So we need to maintain this for the longevity of the implant and pain-free hip. Now similarly, we need to know the acetabular offset. So what is acetabular offset? We will first draw a inter teardrop line from the distal part of the teardrop, and then we will draw a perpendicular to that line, and then again the shortest distance from the center of rotation of the hip to this perpendicular line, perpendicular to the inter teardrop line, this is a acetabular offset. So now what is a combined offset? So the combined offset is a femoral offset plus acetabular offset. This is a combined offset. So we need to maintain this combined offset. For example, if we are using a larger component, larger head size, so then acetabular component will be larger because the center will lateralize, and the femoral component will be shorter because the center of rotation will be lateralized. So we need to maintain this combined femoral plus acetabular offset. Then let's talk about the leg length discrepancy. How will we calculate the leg length discrepancy? So we will first draw this inter teardrop. We will first draw the teardrop, and then we will draw the line, horizontal line through the passing through the tip of the lesser trochanter, and then we will calculate the distance from the inferior part of the teardrop line to this line passing through the superior tip of the lesser trochanter, and then we calculate the difference between the length of these two lines, and then this way we will calculate the leg length discrepancy, and then in our planning how much lengthening we need to give, we will calculate it, and then we will be able to maintain the leg length discrepancy post surgery or intraoperatively. Now after we have already calculated the center of rotation, we have calculated the acetabular offset, femoral offset, leg length discrepancy. Now we need to look at the position of the components. So we will look one by one. We will first look for the position of the acetabular component. So we need to, for the acetabular component, we need to look at the various things. The one is we need to choose a cup that will fit the acetabular cavity and restore the acetabular center of rotation. And the position of the cup should be 40 to 45 degree of abduction. This is the angle between the long axis of the cup and the inter teardrop line. So we need to maintain the cup at angle of 45 degree, and we need to choose a cup that will fit the acetabular cavity properly. So now there are three main things. One is a depth of the component. We need to see that it should fit properly on the medial wall. So this will calculate the depth of the component. Then we need to look at the height from the teardrop. So this will give us an idea of intraoperative where we should put the component properly. And the third thing is the cup containment. So the inferior part of the cup will lie at the teardrop. So superior part may come out of the lateral wall of the acetabulum. So we need to know this prehand, that how much is the component contained properly. So these 3 points we should know beforehand. One is a insertion depth, another is a insertion height, and another is a cup containment for the acetabular component. Then for the femoral component, similarly we should know that it should fit the medullary cavity properly. And the long axis of the implant is positioned parallel to the long axis of the femur, and we will calculate the approximate insertion depth. And here we need to look at whether we want to achieve some lengthening or shortening, or like to maintain the limb length discrepancy. So this way we will calculate the implant positioning in femoral and in acetabular component. Then after we have already know about all these things, we know the proper position of the acetabular component, we know the proper position of the femoral component, we know how much to medialize the acetabulum, how much to lateralize, we know which type of stem we should use that will properly fit in our cavity. And this way we decide about our implants, we decide about our proper position of the implant, we decide how much neck, how much femoral component we need to keep out of the femur so that we will be able to maintain the limb length discrepancy. So all these decisions are made pre-operatively. So now let's look at how to take a proper radiograph for hip templating. So to take a proper radiograph, we will take the radiograph in 20 degree of internal rotation, both the legs in hips in 20 degree of internal rotation, so that we will get the full view of the neck. And in this position we will have approximately 5 mm of the lesser trochanter will be visible to us. Now when we have a radiograph in front of us, we should be able to see that coccyx should be approximately 3 cm above the pubis, and it should lie directly over the pubic symphysis. And similarly the obturator foramina, it should not be too close or it should not be too open, and we should be able to mark the teardrop, and this is the inferior boundary of the cup. So this is how we actually take, or how we actually analyze the cup. Now another thing in that we should look in the pre-operative radiograph is a door classification. We should look the medullary cavity and the cortex relationship that will help us decide whether we want to go for cemented prosthesis or uncemented prosthesis, or how much difficulty we can have during the press fit. So this is very important to see at the door classification. We should document all these points in a pre-operative templating. So we should always take a lateral view to look for any deformity in the femur or any femur bow that we may have difficulty in rimming or in putting the component. Anteroposterior acetabulum we should look, and that will help us getting a width of the acetabulum and any anticipated complication. And we should always take a stepwise approach. We should determine the magnification, we should determine the leg length discrepancy, we should then look at the biomechanics component like center of rotation, and then we look at the component positioning, determine the neck cut level, and then you have a proper plan in your mind about all the points for total hip replacement, and then you can go for surgery. So this was about the pre-operative templating in total hip replacement surgery. Thank you guys, thank you very much.